to another episode of the Lancashire Teaching Hospitals Recruitment Podcast. How are you, Lauren?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Will?
Good, yeah, it's been a while since we've done one of these.
Been a bit of a long time.
Yeah, you've been busy?
Very busy, as always.
How's internationals going?
Just keeping me on my toes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Putting it mildly.
Yeah.
Excellent, okay. Well, we've got a very special guest today, Lauren, haven't we?
We have. Very special.
Do you want to introduce them?
We've got Debbie Tickle.
Debbie Tickle, our manager. Yeah, Debbie Tickle, well, she'll tell you exactly her job title. I think it's Recruitment Service Manager, is it?
No, I'm Recruitment Manager and Job Evaluation Lead, and I am also the Armed Forces Lead for the organisation.
Excellent. And like a pro, that segues into why we've got you here today. So, for those who don't know, Armed Forces Day is coming up on the 24th of June.
It certainly is.
So this podcast is being released for them. Can you tell us a little bit about Armed Forces Day?
It forms part of Armed Forces Week, so it's a real celebration of the Armed Forces and everything that they bring to the organisation. Not just our close links with the Armed Forces at Forward Barracks, but also we have a lot of reservists, a lot of veterans and a lot of families of armed forces personnel who work with us. So it's a real celebration, it's a real opportunity for us to be able to thank them for everything that they do.
And it is national as well, isn't it? It's not just a local thing. I mean, there are local events, but it is nationwide.
It's a national event, yeah.
Excellent. And you've got a pretty personal story with the Armed Forces. Is that what led you to being the trust lead on it and being involved?
I became trust lead by accident almost.
Okay.
When I was involved with staff side, our workforce director at the time, Karen Smidley, knew that my dad was in the army and I had quite an army background. And so we were looking for an Armed Forces lead and Karen just said one day, "Oh, Debbie, you can do it." Yeah, okay. I think I must have made eye contact at that point, yeah. So, but I'm always more than happy to do it. Like I said, I am an Armed Forces brat, as they used to call us. My dad was in the army, he served in the Loyal Regiment, which is the Lancashire Loyal Regiment. My son currently is part of the Grenadier Guards, he's a sergeant in the Grenadiers, so we have strong ties with the Armed Forces. And obviously, Lauryn, you'll know that we had a really proud moment last year when my son actually was part of the bearer party carrying the Queen's coffin.
Wow, that is really impressive. That's a huge thing. You must be very proud of it.
We are very, very proud, and even prouder last Wednesday, he received his Victoria Medal from the King at Buckingham Palace.
Awesome. So, right, on a personal level, because with the NHS and it's all about the human level, as a mum, that must be pretty epic.
Oh, it was incredibly epic, yeah. I can't describe it, how proud we are, and especially my dad. My dad's 91, 92 this year. Not in the best of health, obviously, he's ageing now, but it's given him such a boost, and he's so proud of Elle, and obviously everything that he does. So, yeah, we're an incredibly proud family.
Well, totally, and please let him know from the team as well, because I think that is a very special thing to have been, a moment of history to have been involved with that.
Absolutely, I tell everybody.
so you should. So you should. Absolutely. Go on, Lauren.
So I just want to know a little bit more about you, Debbie, and sort of what's your journey been like in the NHS? How did you come to work in the NHS?
Oh, crikey. I think I've lost count of how long I've been here. It must be 34, 35 years. So, it's a pretty good place to work. Otherwise, I'm sure I wouldn't have been here that long. I started on a fixed-term contract when I was 21 years old. I shouldn't have said that, should I?
Ooh.
Oh, what to work out. So actually, I'm just thinking 39 years I've been here. So I started on a fixed-term contract in health records, and I remember going home to my dad and my mum and dad and saying, I've got a job in health records at the hospital, and my dad said, "Oh, it'll be all right." And I thought, yeah, it's only short term, I'll not last. But no, loved it.
Brilliant. So that's pre-digital as well. So
pre-digital, paperwork, yeah.
You've seen all that come in then.
Yep, and then from then I moved into clinical coding, which is quite a niche role. Absolutely loved it there. It's a really great role, reading patients' case notes and then translating the information around diagnosis and operations into codes. Then it forms part of our statistics. Fantastic job, that one. And then I moved into HR in 2004 when they brought in the job evaluation scheme, and I was part of implementing all of that. And I've stayed here ever since.
Excellent. You must enjoy it then.
Love it. Absolutely love working here.
Brilliant. And is there anything about the recruitment team or the HR department, any particular element of the job you really like and enjoy? Is it the people, or is it something operational that you...
I've always been quite an organised person in terms of my workload. You won't think so if you looked at my desk at the moment, but I am quite organised. So I do like that processy type of things, seeing things through from the start to the finish. The team are absolutely fantastic, as you'll know, working with them together, and it's such a diverse role that we play within the organisation. People think of recruitment as, you know, you just sat at a desk, but we're not. We're out there talking to our candidates. We've got them coming in for pre-employment checks, going for assessment days when we do interview days. So you get to meet the people, and it's really nice when you are part of an interview process for somebody, and then they come for their ID check, and then you'd be walking around the hospital and someone will say, "Hiya Debbie, you were there on the day that I got my job," or "I was there when you were taking my picture when we were doing the assessment days." So yeah, just absolutely love it.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so let's pull it back to, you mentioned it about getting involved being the Armed Forces Lead, so we'll pull it back to that. And we'll talk a little bit about the journey of the Armed Forces Covenant, because we had silver status, and then last year we achieved gold status. So can you tell us a little bit about that campaign and the things we do?
We started off a number of years ago when it was first introduced, the Armed Forces Covenant. Obviously, we did sign it. Our chief exec at the time, Tony Curtis, was really keen on it. Karen Partington then took up the mantle, and Kevin McGee now is a real keen supporter of the Armed Forces and what they can not only give to the country but give to the NHS as well, because there is a lot of interaction between the two of us. So silver, it was that nice step up from bronze where you just self-assess yourself, so it was taking it a step further. We'd work quite closely with Forward Barracks in offering placements for their combat medical technicians, so they will come in for a 12-week programme with us, and they would learn about the softer side of nursing, because of course when they're out on the battlefield it's patch them up and ship them out.
I can imagine it, yeah, it's pretty hard going, and bedside manner, nothing against medics in the army, but it is a different kettle of fish, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It is very much a patch them up and ship them out, because that is their role. It's to deal with that immediate emergency, get things stable, and then the patient obviously goes off. So they come into our organisation and we'll be working either in A&E, sometimes on a trauma ward, but often our most popular placements are in the areas that they would never normally see, which would be on a medical ward or even on the geriatric wards, respiratory wards, things like that. Yeah, where they get that real patient connection that they've never had previously. Being able to see somebody come in, go through all the nursing with them whilst they're an inpatient, and then actually see them discharged at the end of it has been really fulfilling for them. So we did that right up to COVID. Obviously COVID had an impact on us being able to offer that, and we're hoping in the very near future to be able to contact Forward Barracks again and be able to offer that. But something else that we've also done was working with some of their registered nurses, because the combat medical technicians aren't registered nurses, but they do have registered nurses within the army who are based at Forward Barracks who need to keep up their clinical skills. So we will offer them placements, often in A&E, because that's where they are able to bring their skills and utilise their skills the most. And they will come and work on a placement with us, but more often than not, they then want to stay with us either as an employee when they leave the army, or we have had one recently who was coming up to leaving, and he, with permission of the army, was able to come and work for us a day a week. Not paid, it was on a voluntary, it was part of his army work, but to keep his clinical skills up to speed, so that when he moved back home, it was very easy for him to transition from army medical life into a general nursing life. So it's been great for all of us.
I'm learning lots here, Lauryn.
Me too. Me too.
That's great as well. That obviously highlights that it's like a reciprocal deal there as well between the two. It's not just, oh, we're doing this and we've got this status. Obviously,
Absolutely.
Everyone involved in that process gains. You know, even our patients will get something from that individual caring for them. And the nurse in that position obviously learns a lot as well, so that's really great. And we had some really nice feedback probably about a couple of years ago from, it was a gentleman who was on one of our medical wards who had made a real connection with one of our combat technicians who had gone and helped look after him on the ward, and he felt an instant connection,
and being able to share stories was really, really good, both for the technician who was here to experience that side of nursing, but also for the patient who felt, you know, they found a real kindred spirit on one of our wards.
Excellent. That's wonderful.
So you've mentioned, Debbie, that your dad was in the army, you've grown up around the army. Have you got any sort of standout experiences from your time?
There's quite a few things that stand out. Obviously, people tend to forget when you're in the armed forces, and certainly when my dad was in the armed forces, that you've got a family as well, and a family that is often uprooted and travels around with you. But I think one of the things that does stick in my mind is my mum, who sadly passed away a number of years ago. She's a tiny lady, she's only 4'9", really small, but a real passionate and incredibly forceful, and, you know, she had a go-to attitude. And we were abroad one time trying to get home for Christmas, and it wasn't just us. There were like, must have been 6 or 7 families who desperately wanted to come back to the UK. We were over in Germany, desperately wanted to come back again. And my mum was ringing round the Air Force, saying, now, could we get on a plane anywhere? It was almost impossible to get home. And I can remember, and I was only young, actually in a convoy in the middle of winter. It was snowing, in the backs of trucks, in the backs of cars, in the backs of vans, about 6 or 7 families all driving across Europe to get home for Christmas. And just that camaraderie and that real sense of community. Freezing cold, loads of kids. I don't remember anybody shouting. I don't remember anybody get frustrated. And maybe it's because over time you forget about the bad things, you think about the positives. And as a child, it was a great adventure for us to get home to Grandma and Granddad's for Christmas. It was snowing, it was freezing, but we didn't care. And I think that's probably one of my best memories, both of my mum, just for her sheer resilience in getting everybody home. And I think we were the last people to get home, probably because my mum was one of those people where, you know, if you lived in Scotland, we had to go to Scotland to drop you off because you were part of our group and you were coming in our car. So, yeah, you go to Scotland and then come back down again to Preston. But no, that's probably one of my favourite memories of my mum as well.
Brilliant. That's awesome. So, were you predominantly based in Germany then? Did you move around with your dad?
No. Malaya for a while, Malta for a number of years, obviously Germany. Yeah, my dad was in the army for quite a number of years, but yeah.
Seen a lot then.
Yeah, but you forget about it when you're children, don't you? It just becomes a way of life. And it's a bit like that with Alex now, obviously in the army. He's been all over, he's been to Afghanistan, obviously based in Aldershot now, but I'm trying to think where else. Is Kenya. He did some time in Brunei when he did some jungle training. So again, he's seen all of the world as well, and loving every minute of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're there, you go into it, aren't you? If you're built for that, that's what you're into. Fantastic. Have you got anything else, Lauren, you'd like to add?
I just want to end on this one really, and sort of why does Armed Forces Day matter to you? What does it mean to you?
I think it matters an awful lot because it feels like for years we haven't recognised what people do for us without us even knowing it, both as an organisation, a community and a country. And I feel that now there's a real recognition for the sacrifices that people make, not only those that are part of the serving armed forces, but those who have gone before them, but also the families. I'm thinking about, as an organisation, we're also veteran aware. Yeah. So it's around making sure that we treat people who have given an awful lot to their country, and for us, just giving back to them a little bit. And from a recruitment point of view, just thinking about our guaranteed interview scheme. So if you are a member of the armed forces or a family member of a current serving armed forces member, then we will guarantee you an interview if you meet the person spec. You just need to make sure you tick that box that tells us that you are, because we want to make sure that you have the best opportunity, because there's a recognition that the families of serving officers or serving personnel within the armed forces probably don't progress in careers as well as other people can do, just because of the transient nature of the families, the fact that they will sacrifice an awful lot and follow follow their partners, their family, their dads, mums and everybody around the country. So it's very difficult for them to almost have roots in one place and find an employment when you are constantly moving around. Can be a real disadvantage to people who are part of the Armed Forces family.
Yeah.
So we want to try and give them an opportunity and say we understand those situations, and actually we will do everything that we can do to make sure that we've got an opportunity for you to come and work here.
Oh, so you've mentioned we're a Veteran Aware Trust. What does that mean, and what can people do?
So as a Veteran Aware, what we're saying is that because we understand that there can be injuries that are due to what's happened previously in your career, or also ongoing injuries that have ongoing conditions that are as a result of that, we need to make sure that we're aware of it, because what we can do is make sure that you aren't lost in the pathway. If you're moving around a lot, we don't want people going to the back of the queue every time, when actually, if we know that you are a veteran, or we know that you are a family member or a serving personnel, then we can make sure that we are signposting in the right direction. But what we really do need is for people to identify themselves.
It's like snakes and ladders, but you're going to be on the ladder rather than the snake.
Yes, exactly. That's a really good, yeah. So that every time when you move to the hospital, you don't slide down that snake. You actually stay on the ladder at the rung you're supposed to be at. Yeah. But the key to this is for people to identify themselves and to tell us that they are, a veteran, or that they're a wife of someone who's serving. I went to the Royal Signals Association in Southport to their meeting, and what the feedback that I was getting from the veterans there was that they didn't want to feel like they were jumping the queue. And it was no, you're not. Please, please, please tell us that you are a veteran.
Yeah.
Don't think that you're jumping the queue. You aren't jumping the queue, because obviously you would never do that in a hospital. Goes on clinical need. It's not that you're jumping the queue, just that we're making sure that you are in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and you're not being hampered because you've moved across.
Exactly.
Trust boundaries or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
Just getting people to say that they are, we can just put a little mark on your record that lets us know that you are a veteran. And also, if you're going on to one of our wards, it just means that we can identify you as a veteran if you want to be identified as a veteran. And then you can, it just gives us just that little bit of extra information about you.
Absolutely. Right, well, thank you very much, Debbie, for coming and speaking to us. I think that pretty much wraps up, unless there's anything you want to add.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a real blast.
How was that, Lauren?
It's really nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel quite warm and mushy inside hearing about Debbie's experiences, yeah.
Good. Do you know who we're going to interview next?
I haven't got a clue.
I don't either. But if a manager's listening to this and wants to appear on podcast, they could do to get in touch, I think. Have some slots.
That'd be nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I can thoroughly recommend it.
Oh, thank you. There you go. Glowing review from Debbie. It's not scary, is it?
Not at all, not at all.
Good. Even if the room is a little bit hot and we can't have a fan on when we're recording. But there we go. So yeah, look out for Armed Forces Day on the 24th. I'll put some details on the slide now. If you look at the website, you'll find events near you if you're interested in attending. Obviously the Trust is Veteran Aware as well, and Gold accredited Armed Forces Covenant status. All our vacancies can be found at the website and posted on our social media if you require more details. If you do have any questions, get in touch, and thanks for listening to this podcast.
See you later.
See you later. Bye.